On Thursday, September 8th, the United Kingdom lost its longest reigning monarch. Queen Elizabeth II passed away, leaving behind a much stronger and much more stable country than the one she inherited. She handled the UK and the royal family with honor and dignity. There were, at times, controversies and scandals, but even in those times, her composure and grace were ever on display. While we didn't intend on this being the first official of our comeback lists, here at List 25, we thought it would be appropriate to honor the Queen. I'm Mike from List 25, and today I present to you 25 facts about Queen Elizabeth II. The Queen knew James Bond personally. Sort of. To celebrate the opening of the 2012 Olympics, which were held in London and across England, the Queen appeared in an opening film in which she was protected by the international super spy himself. Well, I mean, Daniel Craig, who was the current James Bond at the time. No, you know what? I'm just going to say it was Bond. At one point, it even looked like Her Majesty jumped from a helicopter. When first asked if she would like to participate, Elizabeth jumped at the chance. When asked if she would like a speaking part, she answered, "Of course I must say something. After all, he is coming to rescue me." She even made suggestions to the filmmakers and did some improvisation. Craig was quoted later of working with her. She sort of acted a bit. That was all her own stuff. It was amazing.
24.
She could dish out a little dark humor. While attending the 2016 Chelsea Flower Show, one of her gardeners, Jekka McVicker, was showing her around and talking with her about various plants and flower species. When they came to a lily of the valley, McVicker told her that for centuries the flower had been used as a poison. Never one to miss an opportunity, with a straight face, the Queen replied, "I've been given 2 bunches this week. Perhaps they want me dead."
23.
She teased George W. Bush. At a welcome ceremony held for her at the White House, then President George W. Bush misspoke. He was speaking about previous times that she had visited the US and how great it was to welcome her back. He stated that she had been to our country to help celebrate our bicentennial in 1776. When asked about how she reacted, Bush said, "She gave me a look that only a mother could give a child." Later, while speaking at a state dinner, the Queen said, "I wonder whether I should start this toast by saying, 'When I was here in 1776. Later, while toasting the Queen, Bush remarked, "Your Majesty, I can't top that one."
22.
Elizabeth was an animal lover. Queen Elizabeth loved animals, with a special place in her heart for dogs. Over the course of her life, Elizabeth had over 30 pets. The vast majority of these dogs were Pembroke Welsh Corgis. Although the royal family had corgis since Elizabeth's early years, she was gifted one for her 18th birthday. She named her Susan and cared for her until the dog's death. At the time of her death, the Queen had 4 corgis, all descended from her beloved Susan. Although no one is sure what will happen to the dogs, it's believed that they will either be split up and given to family members or left with the Queen's staff, who have helped care for them since birth.
21.
First monarch in the age of television. Queen Elizabeth's coronation occurred on June 2nd, 1953. Although the television was invented in 1927, live broadcasts had begun just 2 years earlier. Not everyone had a television in 1953, but that didn't keep British citizens from watching. It's estimated that over 27 million people across the UK watched the broadcast out of a population of 36 million. It was the first time regular citizens were able to see the coronation of a member of their royal family officially taking the throne. This quite possibly contributed to the reason that she soon became so beloved amongst her subjects. Many felt closer to her than any who had preceded because they had this connection with her from the very beginning of her reign.
20.
She never actually thought she would be queen. Elizabeth's father was the 2nd son of King George V and was not in line to take the throne. His older brother, King Edward VIII, was made king after the death of their father. But King Edward VIII, Elizabeth's uncle, abdicated his throne for love. King Edward VIII met and fell in love with an American socialite named Wallis Simpson. In order to marry her, he had to give up the throne, which he did. making his younger brother the new king. This put Elizabeth in direct line of succession. After the death of her father, King George VI, Elizabeth was crowned queen.
19.
Her full official name is quite long. Elizabeth's given name at birth was Elizabeth Alexandra Mary. It's a perfectly lovely and very fitting name. Oddly, later in life, she was able to choose the surname Windsor. Her official name at the time of her death, however, was quite a bit longer. Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, and of other realms and territories, Queen, head of the Commonwealth, defender of the faith. Although that's got nothing on Shanvair Pushgungish Gonger Chrondropo Santa Cilio Gogogoch in Wales. Being in Wales, that fact is still somehow connected, so I didn't go too off the rails there.
18.
Hers was the longest reign of any monarch in British history. Elizabeth held the crown for over 70 years. She took the crown when she was 25, and held it until she was 96. That was the longest reign of any British monarch in history. In world history, Elizabeth held the crown for the second longest reign, surpassing King Ranma IX of Thailand only 88 days before her death. The only person to remain on the throne longer than Elizabeth was King Louis XIV of France. He held the crown for 72 years, 111 days, from May 13, 1643 to September 1st, 1715.
17.
She was extremely private. Elizabeth was one of the most recognizable individuals in the world, yet very few really knew her at all. She never did an interview. She almost never shared her personal opinions in the picture forum. She believed her position should not focus on her, but should be a symbol of the strength and perseverance of the British people. While the intention was good, it didn't always work to her advantage. Rarely showing emotion, she was sometimes thought to be cold and aloof. This was especially true after the death of Princess Diana, when she remained silent and refused to let the British flag fly at half-mast over Buckingham Palace.
16.
She wanted to do her part. In the mid-90s, during a nationwide recession, there was much criticism aimed at the royal family about their lavish lifestyle. She understood the frustration that people felt, and even though she was exempt, declared that she would pay the proper taxes on her personal wealth. She also removed some members of the royal family who were getting salaries from the government.
15.
She didn't take herself too seriously. While in public, Elizabeth II was always proper and the perfect representative of the British people. But in private, she never took herself too seriously. In an interview in early 2022, one of her protection officers, Richard Griffin, told a story about accompanying Her Majesty on a walk near her residence in Balmoral in Aberdeenshire, Scotland. According to Griffin, they came across an American couple on holiday and stopped to chat. They didn't realize they were standing before the Queen. The couple asked how long she lived there, and she replied by telling them she had lived there for over 80 years. They said, "Wow, you must have met the Queen many times." She told them she hadn't, but her companion knew the Queen personally. So the couple asked if she could take a photo of them with Griffin, and she happily agreed. After the picture was taken, Griffin suggested that they also get a picture with Elizabeth. Still having no idea who she was, they agreed. After the tourists departed, the Queen said to Griffin, "I would love to be a fly on the wall when they show that picture to their friends." That's amazing. Oh, I miss her already now.
14.
She served during World War II. During World War II, as was her nature, she served her country. She became a member of the Auxiliary Territorial Service. The ATS was formed in 1938 as a women's voluntary service, eventually merging into the Women's Royal Air Corps. While serving, Elizabeth learned to be a driver and a mechanic. And she wasn't doing the job symbolically either. She took her duties seriously and didn't mind getting filthy and greasy at all. She felt it was an honor to be able to help her fellow citizens.
13.
While she never attended an actual brick-and-mortar school, she and her sister Princess Margaret were privately tutored by the very best tutors of London, one of whom became the provost of Eton College. Her courses in religion were taught by the Archbishop of Canterbury.
12.
She didn't like many of the trappings of the monarchy. While she kept proper protocol in public, behind closed doors, she preferred a simpler life. In a documentary made for her Platinum Jubilee, the public celebration of the 70th anniversary of her reign, her daughter-in-law Kate spoke of this. "You would expect a lot of grandeur and a lot of fuss," Kate said. "But what actually resonates with me is her love for little things, the lack of fuss, and I think that's a special quality to have."
11.
She acted in more than just a James Bond short. In a video recorded for the opening of her Platinum Jubilee, she won praise for her performance in a short film with an iconic British star, Paddington Bear. In the video, the two are having tea and marmalade sandwiches together. Stay. Paddington tells the Queen that it's his favorite, and then he always keeps one hidden under his hat. The Queen then confides in Paddington that she too loves them, and always keeps one in her handbag. This wasn't the first time Paddington and the Queen crossed paths. One of the Paddington books is entitled Paddington at the Palace, in which the bear goes to Buckingham Palace and sees the Queen through one of the windows. You know what? I'm gonna keep him. This is about, British stuff, and can't get much more British than Paddington, so he's staying for the rest of this list.
10.
She had a special wake-up call whenever she was at Balmoral Castle. Everyone needs a pleasant way to start the day. For Queen Elizabeth II, it was bagpipes. At 7:30 every morning, a bagpiper would stand outside under her window and play bagpipes for 15 minutes. While she listened to the bagpipes, she would start her day with a gin cocktail, although this habit may have fallen off over in her final years as her health declined.
9.
A royal love story. Elizabeth had a 74-year marriage to Philip, the son of the Prince of Greece. She met Philip when she was just 8 years old and he was 14. They met at the wedding of her uncle and his aunt. Over the years, they would see each other occasionally, and they communicated through letters. She eventually found herself quite enamored with him. One day, while Philip was visiting Balmoral, he proposed to her. This was unconventional at the time, as usually a man would ask for permission to propose from the woman's father, who would then either approve or disapprove of the union. Elizabeth skipped the tradition of parental approval and accepted Philip's proposal on the spot. Aw.
8.
She was a rebel behind the wheel. After learning how to drive for her military service, Elizabeth decided she liked it and drove often. She owned a Jaguar and a Range Rover in which she would go for joyrides. The thing is, she never actually got a driver's license. As the Queen, she wasn't required to have one. Elizabeth was also not required to put any plates on her vehicles. And even more interesting was the fact that she was also not required to have a passport for international travel. All passports from Great Britain are in the name of Queen Elizabeth II, so what's the point really?
7.
She didn't break rules because of who she was. Elizabeth married Prince Philip in 1947. This was shortly after the end of World War II, and Europe was in the process of rebuilding. As needed goods were less available, and to ensure that every citizen could get what they needed, the country was on a coupon rationing system. The British government allowed her 200 coupons to get materials for her dress. Women who were also engaged at the time sent their coupons to the Queen as well, hoping she would be able to have her dream dress. But as it was illegal to share coupons, they were all returned.
6.
Dressed for a purpose. The Queen was known for her brightly colored outfits, complete with matching headwear. Even though she cared about looking well and keeping the perfect royal image, the outfits and hats had a purpose. Elizabeth always believed the monarchy was there for the people. She wore the outfits so that she could stand out and become the center of attention. Understanding how memorable and important getting to see the Queen could be, she wore clothing that would make her easier to see.
5.
The Queen started an odd but touching tradition. Each year, the Queen would send a letter to anyone celebrating their 100th birthday. If they made it to 105, they would get another letter for that birthday, and every birthday following. She also started sending letters of congratulations to couples who were celebrating their 60th, 65th, and 70th wedding anniversaries. Although the letters were pre-written, the Queen would always personally sign them.
4.
Queen on the Moon. In 1969, prior to the Apollo 11 moon landing mission, many world leaders were invited to record messages of goodwill and unity. These messages were put onto a disc and placed in the space capsule before launch. This disc still sits on the surface of the moon at the base of the American flag planted by the astronauts. The Queen accepted the invitation. Her message said, "On behalf of the British people, I salute the skill and courage which have brought man to the moon. May this endeavor increase the knowledge and well-being of mankind."
3.
She is a real doll. To celebrate her birthday and her Platinum Jubilee, the Queen got her own Barbie doll. Wanting to do a special line celebrating women of notoriety, Mattel created a doll in the Queen's image. In a statement to USA Today, Lisa McKnight, a Mattel EVP, stated, "The Queen is a perfect addition to the Barbie tribute collection intended to honor women whose contributions have had a great impact. We're proud to celebrate her historic milestone and encourage kids to learn more about her legacy." We got your back, Mattel. Kids will learn about it now. You're welcome.
2.
Scary moments. There were a couple of moments in Elizabeth's life that were quite unnerving and could have ended in tragedy. The first happened in 1981 during the Trooping of the Colour ceremony. The Queen was heading to Buckingham Palace on horseback leading the royal procession. Suddenly, shots rang out. 17-year-old Marcus Sargent had wanted to stun and mystify the whole world with nothing more than a gun, just as those he was obsessed with had assassinated John Lennon and John F. Kennedy. Because of England's strict gun laws, Sargent was only able to buy blanks and not live ammunition for the weapon. The second moment occurred a year after the first. This time it happened inside Buckingham Palace. A man, Michael Fagan, managed to get over the barbed wire fencing that surrounds the palace. He was then able to make his way to a drain pipe near the Queen's quarters, shimmy up it, and crawl into her bedroom. Legend says that the Queen was calm and had a long conversation with the man until security arrived. But Fagan tells a different story. In a later interview with The Independent, Fagan said, "She went past me and ran out of the room, her little bare feet running across the floor."
1.
Compassion and grace. The Queen prided herself on the tradition and rich history of England. But on September 13th, 2001, she broke with the tradition established in 1660. Her reasons for this proved her compassion towards others. 2 days after the World Trade Center towers fell, Queen Elizabeth ordered the United States national anthem to be played during the changing of the guard. Her reason for this was to give support and comfort to every American who was stranded in London, wanting to be with their loved ones. Queen Elizabeth was a singular woman who led her country and her family through many difficult times. As previously stated, she wasn't always perfect and had her fair share of controversy. But she was an exceptional leader and the best person to lead the United Kingdom into a new millennium. So, what are some other facts about the late Queen Elizabeth we may have missed? Let us know in the comments below, or share your answers with us via social media. Links in the description below. Include my cameo if you want a personal shout out. Yeah, it was a shameless plug, I know. Sorry. See you next time.
Be sure to click that subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss out on new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Share them with your friends and help us consistently conciliate curiosity. And if you want even more lists, check out these videos here or just head to our website at list25.com.